how are you doing during quarantine? How are you as a human being, not an alien, a human being handling quarantine?
Well, one aspect of it has been very lovely. I've been alone with my wife,
Mhm.
uh, and it's been 4 months now. And it's almost as if we've been making up for all those times in our like 40-year marriage when her business or mine have separated us. She's a professor. I'm an actor. I've spent like 30% of that time on location, 20% on a film set in LA.
Mhm.
This was like making up for all that. It turns out we realized we were even better company for each other than we ever dreamed. It was lovely. Beyond that, I actually had a creative project that kept me going up until about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that was I wrote an entire book. I had a book contract to do a follow up of my political humor book, Dumpty,
Yeah.
which came out last October. That was a big success. My publisher begged me to do another one in time for the election. I said, no, 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 no. I finally said yes. And then I thought, oh my God, how am I ever going to do this? I'm working on a TV series. Well, along comes a global pandemic. The series is suspended. I
Right.
have nothing to do but eat, sleep, and cook. Okay, I'll be able to do this. And I wrote the entire book of 32 poems, 110 pages, did all the illustrations, and it'll be out on September 29th in plenty of time for the election.
When the first book came out, you appeared on the show and you did a reading from it,
Yeah.
and the book was a big success. And I was really impressed with the poetry and with the illustrations. Really,
Uh-huh.
really fantastic.
Well,
Um,
and I got the Conan bump. You made me into a New York Times bestseller, Conan.
yes, I can do that too. I can get you an Oscar or a New York Times bestseller, either one.
That's why I'm here. Yeah,
Really, yeah, you loathe
I,
talking to me, but you know you have to.
I can read you from this new one too.
Great.
Uh,
This is called Trumpty Dumpty Wanted a Crown Verses for a Despotic Age. And I want to tell you one thing that should be very flattering. I wanted to hold up the book here in person
yes.
to show it, and it was sent to us. And we're here at a
Ah,
theater, and it arrived at the theater, and someone stole it.
ah,
So that's a fine compliment that your book was stolen.
yeah. Well,
Right from
I
right here at the Largo Theater, but we will put it up and make sure that we prominently display it here on the screen.
this is about Bill Barr,
Mhm.
very much in our recent. Uh,
Bill
uh,
Barr, Attorney General Bill Barr.
Here, I'll show you the illustration first, because when you read the book, this is what you would see. As you see, it's Bill Barr as a frog, which
Yes.
how
Yeah.
can you not portray Bill Barr as a frog
There he is.
sitting outside the Oval Office, standing guard? It's called Bill Barr the Door. A.G. Barr, that faithful sentry, guards the Oval Office entry. Though he stays all legal action, he should check self-satisfaction, add a single scandal more, and he'll be frog marched out the door. Frog marched out the door. Get it? So
That's
that's the
fantastic.
short. That's the short one. Some of them are 2 or 3 or 4 pages long, but I thought I'd give you a bonbon.
That's terrific. Now, do you think it's going to be highly read in the White House when it comes out? Do you think it's going to be a big hit with the
Well,
White House crew?
well, I certainly hope they'll read it, because if they'll read it, maybe I'll get a tweet out of him. It'll sell thousands. I mean, of course, it's a book to delight and amuse liberals, never Trumpers, Democrats in anticipation of the election. But I'm counting on a lot of right-wing fanatics buying it too. They'll want to buy it in order to burn it. But they will have to buy it.
A lot of us are angry, but as you know, when you're in the comedy business, you're trying to walk a line of not just being outraged. You're trying to still remember that your job is to entertain people and to make and to get a smile out of them and temper that. And I think that's what you've done with this.
I have to say, Conan, you are a much more interesting interview subject than I am in this matter. I mean, I'm fascinated by the challenge that all of you are facing.
Mhm.
All of you late night wits and satirists and commentators. How do you, I mean, how do you feel about that? You asked me how I felt not having an audience.
Right.
How do you feel when things are so dire and so difficult and so enraging when your job is to be funny?
Well, there are times where there are times recently when things have gotten so dark, especially during the right after George Floyd's killing, that I just decided, you know, if someone knows how to try and make this situation we're in right now funny, God bless them. I don't know how, and I don't even think it didn't feel appropriate to me. So there are times when I think you just have to be a human being, and when things get really dark, you have to say, this is not, I'm just going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk to people about it. And so you surrender, I think, a little bit the comedic role. And then the rest of the time, if you think it's at all possible, you try and do it.
But is it at all a relief that you don't have
Yes,
to be funny on the subject?
sometimes,
Because,
sometimes it is, but mostly if it's so serious that you can't even that you can't do what I feel like I was put here to do, which is to entertain people and make them laugh. If I can't do that, it's you know, I think it's at least cathartic to talk to people and say, how do you feel about this? And we can have a discussion, even if it's
yeah,
not a funny discussion. I think that's one of the rules. I mean, Johnny Carson, I watched him growing up, and he would have guests on and he wouldn't go for laughs. And I think
yeah.
sometimes that's completely appropriate. I think it's um
Well, and you and a few more of your cohort. I mean, there are those moments when things are too grave to be funny.
yeah,
And I mean, you think of Letterman when he addressed the nation when he first came on the air after 9/11.
yeah,
Uh, you know, if you had a list of the 10 greatest Letterman moments, that
right,
would be right up near the top.
yep,
Moments when a funny person just stops being funny and talks from the heart and is capable of doing that
right.
with real integrity and authenticity. That's got a tremendous amount of power, and it's I think it's essential for us all. In a sense, that's more comforting than making people laugh in dark times.
Yeah, I still think I always am relieved when we get back to a situation where I can be silly again. Silly
Yeah,
is my
I've
that is
never I've never seen you be silly, Conan.
I know, I know. I know
I
you've
know
only
you. I know is gravely serious.
you're right. Occasionally I'll find evidence that I was occasionally silly.